Hi everyone, and welcome back to my art channel. My name is Karen, and on this channel I like to experiment with different types of art. So today I'm going to be making clay pins using polymer clay. I'm going to be using the Sculpey Premo clay, and I bought a couple of different colors just to try different things out. This is actually my second time making pins. My first time was yesterday when I tried just making these simple shapes just to get some practice in before I actually start recording it. And I'm also going to be using this Bacon Bond, some Q-tips, some alcohol, and these really basic tools that I bought at Michael's, and then I bought these dotting tools on Amazon. All right, let's get started. First and foremost, get that alcohol spray and clean your space. So I actually had a really hard time keeping my white clay clean. That was a tongue twister, white clay clean. I actually have 3 dogs. Insert cute pictures here, here, and here. So there is always hair everywhere. No matter what I do, I can never get hair or dust or whatever off of this white desk. Let me tell you, it was a struggle. I sketched out a couple of ideas of what I wanted to make today, and basically we're going to be doing these sugar skulls and also some vases that later I'll add some paper plants to. Before we get fully into it, I want to give a quick shout out to Paloma the Peach. She is also here on YouTube, and she made a video about her full process on how she makes her pins, and I found it very, very helpful. I mean, I even actually bought more or less the exact same products as she had in her video. So I'm going to go ahead and link that below so you can check that out yourself. And I also want to mention Valerie Wai. I found her on Instagram, but she also does make YouTube videos. And she makes the most cutest little like clay, what are they called? Charms and little trays, trinket trays, and just really cute things. And she also has a beginner course for people that are new to working with polymer clay, and I highly recommend checking that out as well. So I will link that down below. The struggle with this colored clay is real. Let me tell you, I found the colored clay to be harder to soften than the white clay. I'm not sure if that was just my experience, or maybe I got like an old batch, or I don't know what it was, but it was hard to soften this bad boy up. I mean, like, it felt like I was gonna bust a blister on my thumb at one point. But then I was like, you know what, I have these tools, I have this little roller thing, let me try this out. And you know what, it did help. So yeah, try to use your tools. So now I got this all nice and softened, and I'm gonna just roll it to like the thickness that I want the pin to be, and then we will get started with cutting out the shape. So I'm just using my X-Acto here to cut directly onto the clay, and I probably should have used one of the little blue plastic tools, but here we are. And anyway, this is just like a really simple shape. I'm making like the most basic vase to start out with. It's super easy to cut through the clay, so I don't have to press down that hard. I didn't want to scratch my desk, so I didn't go all the way down like really hard to the bottom, just lightly kind of like trimmed it out. And that is it. That is the basic shape. I think I made this vase a little too long, so I'm just gonna trim a little off the top, and we're done with the first one. So I just went ahead and did the second one off camera. It's just the same simple shape, just used a little bit more blending around the edges. So now I'm going to take this little piece of scrap clay that I have just to clean my fingers from that black clay that I was using and my desk. And then I'm just going to make a light beige color by combining this orange that I mixed earlier with some red and yellow clay and a lot of my white clay. All right, cool. So now I'm going to separate this into 3 little pieces, I think, because that way it'll just be easier to have measurements for the 3 next faces that I'm going to make. And so the first one here is, I'm going to combine 2 pieces, I think, like the circle-ish part for the bottom of the vase, and then I'm going to do this cylindrical tube for the top. So here's where I'm going to go and use some of that bacon bond, because I think when you're attaching 2 pieces of clay, it's good to have this little extra level of like adhesive so that they stick together nicely. Now, I'm not a clay expert by any means. This is literally my second time. But I did learn these things from, I forgot to mention another person that I watch a lot, which is Ace of Clay. And he makes these crazy, cool, awesome clay sculptures as well. Now I'm just going to take this needle tool that I got on Amazon, and I'm just going to blend the edges from the little cylindrical tube into the bottom circular part. Another great blending tool is your fingers. I love using my fingers just to like smooth everything out. And when I'm happy with how everything is looking, I'm going to take my little Q-tip and just dip it into some alcohol so I can rub off any like little pieces of hair or dust or any little scratches that got on to the piece. So here are all the vase pieces I made. And so now with my needle tool, I'm just going to poke a little hole in the top, and that way I'll be able to put in my little paper flowers afterwards. So I'm just going to leave you here with this little quick time lapse of how I made the sugar skulls, well, one of them. And it's basically following the same process as before. I'm going to just cut it out with my X-Acto straight onto the clay. And then I'm going to smooth out the edges and wipe it clean. And here are the finished unbaked pieces so far. So I have my 3 sugar skulls and my 5 vases. So I'm just following the package instructions here, which says to bake at 275 Fahrenheit for 30 minutes. And I just placed these on a parchment paper and put it on my aluminum baking tray. So here are the finished baked clay pieces, and they came out pretty sturdy. They feel really good. So I'm just going with my tried and true Holbein acrylic wash paint. I'm going to use less water though, because when I did a little practice earlier, I noticed that it feels a little rubbery, like when you paint over the clay. So it doesn't really absorb the water well at all, actually. So use less water when you're painting is my tip for you. Actually, funny story is I did not know that polymer clay is made from plastic, which is probably why it's so slippery when you paint on it. I was like talking about it with my husband, and he was like, yeah, duh, like the word polymer means plastic. And I'm like, I had no idea. I literally thought I was using clay from the earth, which is probably really dumb, but that's what it is. Let me know in the comments below if you knew that about polymer clay, or if this is the first time you're hearing about it too. Okay, so here are the finished painted pieces, and now we're going to go ahead and glue the pins. I got these really affordable metal pin backs on Amazon, and it's just a pack that brings 50 pairs of the butterfly clutch pin backs. I'm also going to be using this E6000 glue to glue them on. So I'm a sensitive to smells, but actually I think everyone would benefit from wearing a mask and gloves when working with resin, because I think it is toxic. So just be careful when you're doing that, and also ventilate. So a little tip I picked up from Valerie Wai is to keep your resin brush covered with aluminum foil, and that way it doesn't cure and the brush doesn't get hard and you can keep reusing it. And just pop these little suckers right into the UV lamp. So I'm starting off with just doing the backside first, and make sure to cover over the pin backs to extra secure it onto the pin. And then I'm going to take these out and put them on top of a little cork board, and then cover the top side as well as the sides. Now that we got the pins good to go, I also made these little backing cards just on my computer. Really simple design I did on Photoshop, and then just printed them out, cut them myself at home, and I think they're pretty cute. So I didn't show this in the video, but I did add some gems to the sugar skulls, and then I also went ahead and made the little paper plants and glued them onto the little vases. And I covered the paper plant with Mod Podge so that it can have a little bit more protection. So now let's just take a closer look at the final clay pins. Hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you liked it, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more art content. See you next time.